Okay, so I had so much fun yesterday with the Q&A that I decided I had to do just one more. And the question that Shivam asks is, how do I put together a complex photo shoot? Now, the reason I'm so keen to answer this question is because it's probably one of my favorite topics to talk about. And the keyword here is planning, like really, really meticulous planning. So let me try and break down my process into its component parts, starting with number one, which is the idea. Every one of my photo shoots starts with an idea, which means I don't just go into a photo shoot blind and hope for the best. Sometimes that idea will pop into my head fully formed, but mostly it'll need to be coaxed out and then molded into a usable concept. Let's take, for example, the Mexica Battle series I recently put out. Now, I've wanted to shoot a fight scene for years, but that was all I had, this desire to shoot a fight scene, no details, no nothing. And that's where the research comes in. So, number two, the research. I like to start most of my research by creating a mood board, often on Pinterest because it's just easy to use and share with people. Now, I find mood boards are a really good way to expand on your raw idea. So again, I took that Mexica Battle idea and just went to see what other people had done on Pinterest. I looked at everything that was tangentially linked, from boxing to wrestling, historical battles, superhero fights, pretty much anything that might inspire me in the right direction. Next comes step three, which is sketching. The sketching stage is a really important stage for me. It's where I take this ephemeral idea and then make it real. And as my final photos tend to be quite faithful recreations of the sketches, I'll spend a lot of time here. It's where I'll decide how my models will be positioned. It's where I'll decide what perspective I'll take. I'll often even decide on vaguely where I'm going to put my lights, certainly where I'll start my light setups. I'll often decide on the lens as well. But don't let me lead you into thinking that these sketches are actually any good, because that's not really the point, and I can prove it. I've actually got some of the sketches, let me check they're the right way around. So these are the sketches from that fight scene, and as you can probably see, they barely even qualify as an actual drawing. Next comes the location planning. Now, the research and the sketching should have given you a really good idea of what you need from your location. So for our battle shoot, we needed somewhere that was going to be flat, but with really expansive views of the sky, as I was going to shoot low, and I wanted these dark brooding clouds we get this time of year to hang over the whole scene and make it more dramatic. Now, one thing I want to also say about location planning is that not everyone is surrounded by jungle and beaches like we are here, and that doesn't really matter. What's important for your location is that it doesn't distract from your concept. So let me think of another example. In the past, I was recreating a religious ceremony, and ideally shooting in, say, a temple or a church would have been perfect for that idea. But just finding an area that doesn't shout, "I'm not a temple" or "I'm not a church" is just as good, because if you think about it, you're in charge of your composition, so you can focus on what you want. You just need your location to not distract the viewer. In fact, let your viewer's imagination fill in the gaps. It's probably the easiest way to do it. Number five, test shots. This is where it all tends to come together, but it's also where it kind of unravels a bit, because it's the step where you notice every problem in your plan as you try and execute it. And that's why you test. It's to refine, improve, and change. That's also why I pretty much never go from location planning to an actual shoot, because all I'd essentially be doing is turning my shoot into a test shot, which is a pretty dumb idea. So, going back to the battle shoot, me and Dan went out a few times to work on the lighting, the smoke, and the choreography, because this was a complex shoot and I wanted to make sure it was right, and all those elements took a lot of fine-tuning to get working together. Once we'd done that, we moved on to number six, which is equipment. I shoot on location a lot of the time, so I need to make sure I have a lot of backup options, because if something fails, I'm in the jungle. So let's say I'm planning a 2-light shoot, I'll often bring 4 lights. I'll often bring spare triggers, spare batteries, a spare camera. Sometimes I'll bring a spare LED light in case we need to shoot into the night. Basically, I will not let the equipment fail be an excuse for me not being able to get the shoot done. Number 7, pre-shoot communications. So this one, before every shoot, I'll contact everyone involved, the models, the assistant, the videographer, makeup, whoever's on the team. I'll send them a schedule, some sketches, and the mood board because I want everyone to know what they're going to get into and what they're going to be doing at any single time. Once that's done, we move on to shoot day, so number 8, the shoot. This shouldn't be stressful because you've done so much planning, but it often kind of is. But through that, my main aim is to get everyone super psyched and excited about what we're doing because creating that positive energy counts for so much. The fact that I'll walk into a shoot with an idea of what I want also doesn't mean that I'm not open to new ideas. It just means that all this testing gave us a great backup plan. So an example of that would be again on the fight shoot we did, where me and Dan had spent all that time choreographing every single photo. But once we shared all this with our models, they got so excited that they came up with their own ideas, and frankly, some of those ideas were awesome, so we ended up scrapping a couple of the planned shots and trying these out. Those ideas worked out, but if they hadn't, we had that backup plan. So I could have just been like, no, we're running out of time, let's cut, go to the stuff we've tested. And what that means is I'll never come out of a shoot with no good photos. In fact, in a nutshell, that should be your goal. Confidence that no matter what happens on the day, you'll be able to take great photos because you're so well prepared. So that's it really. If you want to know more detail about how I plan my photo shoots, you can head over to jpstones.com where I've written a few long form articles about this topic. You can also check out the workshops we hold there. If you want to get in touch, just DM me on Instagram or email. Cheers.